Welcome, everyone, to the Healthy School Food Summit, brought to you by the Coalition for Healthy School Food and PlantPure. I'm your host, Ron Gandiza, along with my co-host, Amy Hamlin. And in this session, we are honored to have with us Michael Spitz and Safiya Carter. Mike Spitz started American Bean in 2011, which is a company focused solely on the K-12 food service industry. They manufacture a variety of bean-based entrees, including a Mediterranean Style Falafel, black bean salsa burgers, and new Mediterranean Falafel Tots. And their main priority is to support food service staff and professionals in the child nutrition industry by producing clean, plant-based entree options that are delicious and affordable. And Safiya Carter is an early pioneer of advocating for healthy school food with passion for helping to assure plant-based will be available to all children. This past year, Safiya joined the team of Eleni's Modern Mediterranean, and she works to create the first entire line of plant-based components for food service retail with replacements for meats, eggs, and cheese. Both these people are extremely passionate, and we're very happy to have them with us. We know they're very busy with their businesses. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Mike, I'd like to start with you. And with all my guests, we always want to know what got them started on this path, especially in promoting the plant-based lifestyle or the benefits of being plant-based. So tell us a little more about how you got started.
Okay, I'm in a family business, and we're food distributors. And so one day, J&J Snack, which is a large pretzel company, the sales rep said, "Who do you think sells the most lunches in the United States?" And, I said McDonald's. Was it Wendy's, Burger King? But I figured it had to be McDonald's. And his answer was no, it's the public school system. And so when I got into the business, it was really because I was looking, as a business point, I was looking for a market. And so I did some research, and I saw the two items that looked potential were falafel and quiche, two items that I thought maybe we could, explore. So we got involved with falafel. And, we've been in the school industry for about 5 years. And after being in the industry trying to promote falafel, we then, started learning more about what we were doing and realized that we didn't want to be a falafel company only, but we wanted to be a bean company. And then after, exploring, different beans, we realized, we started falling upon things and learning about Colin Campbell and what we were doing. And we saw something much bigger than what we intended to start with. And, from that, I personally have become vegan recently. I wouldn't say fully vegan, but I'm in the mode of being vegan. And I learned the value of what we're actually doing. So what we're doing now, I feel, is more than just selling boxes, which is what we do. We're helping. Initially it was really the animals, that I felt connected to. And then after learning about Colin Campbell and the China study and realizing what that was all about, it became something bigger than what we were doing. And so it's kind of early where we are now, is like just learning about him now, or the China study and the health benefits is where we are now. And so we're passionate about growing and building foods that students like, so that's what we do.
So you're helping students. You've got a passion for helping students and knowing what they eat matters, because you studied the China study with Dr. Campbell, and you want to make sure that it's food that they're going to eat. That's the taste. And we've seen some of the complaints from the government, for instance, that schools have food that's being thrown away, and even if it's healthier, if it's thrown away, they feel like it's wasting money or it's putting undue burden on the schools. But we're saying, well, hold up, let's not throw away being healthy, but actually, make the food taste better so that kids eat it. So I appreciate that. And Safiya, tell me a little more about you, because I know we've talked before, and you've got a lot of history in this movement, really going back many years to that you've been promoting the plant-based lifestyle. So tell us a little more about your story.
Sure. Well, I was lucky to be born into with parents that were very aware about food and kind of forward thinkers, part of a co-op back before co-ops were really popular. And unfortunately, my mom got cancer when she was in her 40s, and she opted to do alternative healing, and they gave her a year to live, and she lived for 17. And in that time, we got to really have her and enjoy life together and study. And I immersed into natural healing and reading lots of books on nutrition. And when I was 17, started eating plant-based, and for health reasons and for compassion reasons. And I actually was also working at a natural food store here outside of Philly, and they gave me a lot of creative license to develop products. Even back then, I was coming up with really fun alternatives for the meats and eggs and cheese. So I got my start that way. And since, from that point, I was always committed to making sure that kids were eating healthy. And especially in school, back then you couldn't even get tofu in a grocery store. It was like our dream. Like, wouldn't that be so cool if one day they had natural foods in a regular grocery store? So now look how far we've come. And, I feel like all the work you guys have been doing is just so brilliant. And I know that we can move faster if we all become more team oriented to make it happen. And that's really what I'm committed to, for sure.
Outstanding. And Amy, you've worked with both, Mike and Safiya. You've met them both, and I know you've got a lot of questions related to the schools, because Amy was the one that really brought me in, just so you know, in terms of helping schools. So I attribute that to Amy's guidance and inspiration for that. So I'm gonna turn this over to you, Amy.
Well, thank you. We are really excited because not all schools make their own food. Some schools only use manufactured foods. And so it's important that we work together with manufacturers, and that there are manufacturers producing clean plant-based foods. And when I say clean, I mean without artificial ingredients, that are truly healthy. And of course, they need to meet the federal guidelines. There are federal guidelines. There's been a lot of talk about those guidelines being weakened. I'll just say here, because it's a good space to say it, that they want to offer flavored milks that are 1% fat, when before flavored milks could only be skim milk. And we disagree with milk being offered anyway. But so now more kids are likely to drink milk. They're also allowing the sodium values to be higher, or not cutting them back as quickly. And then finally, regarding the whole grains, they are allowing some school districts to have an exemption temporarily. So the whole grain exemption does not apply across the board. But so this is really not what these two companies are about. Mike and Safiya's companies are about replacing meat and cheese as the main dish, or what they call the meat alternate component of the school lunch. And so because all schools are required to offer fruits and vegetables and grains, they're already required to offer those things. So really and there can always be improvements on those. But probably the biggest way to make an impact on the healthfulness of a school meal is to reduce or eliminate the animal products. And so that's our focus, is to get the plant-based vegan options on the menu every day as a healthy option. And so there are schools who use exclusively manufactured foods for their plant-based option. And then there are schools who use some manufactured foods, some homemade foods. And so in either case, the products that Mike and Safiya are making are important for schools to have access to. And it's my hope that this summit will make many food service directors aware of their products. And of course, their products meet all the guidelines for the federal regulations. They are in this business. They understand their products have to meet the guidelines. So I guess I would like to ask Mike, starting with you, Mike from American Bean Products, if you could just talk about a few of your products and how they've been received in schools.
Okay. We manufacture falafel, which is it's a trending item. And we really, the reality is when we put it out, there was, the product really wasn't that good, to be honest with you. And it took us some time, and we revised the product. And so we're kind of excited now because going back into the market, we feel we have a good product that we really didn't have initially. So we took a lot of time to do that, to get it, to be meet the school guidelines and taste good. So, I guess maybe I'm getting off a little tangent here, but the most important thing, the students have to like what you're giving them. Otherwise, nothing's going to work. and so that took us a long time. So we have a new falafel that we're just now bringing to the schools, and the feedback has been very, very good. We've now also taken a tot shape, like a potato tot, and we made falafel out of, into the potato tot shape. So that has a good perception by the students. They see that, and there's already an acceptance of that product. And it also offers the food service directors and staff other menu applications that would be, more variety of menu applications. So we have that item also now just coming out. And we're working now on a line of sliders. We're coming out with a chipotle slider and some others in development, different flavors. The one thing that we're very careful of now is everything we lost too much time. We really understand the products we're going up against pizza, chicken nuggets, and tacos. And we understand that. So when we go out now, we really have to be careful that before we put a product out and start sending samples, and we want to make sure that the students are going to like it. So I just wanted to stress that we're very keenly aware of that. And we're excited that we think we're now in a position to quickly, bring out a lot of new product.
It's really exciting, Mike, because like you said, at first the product was not what you hoped. Well, the challenge is to meet all the nutritional guidelines and have it taste good and have it be able to compete with the meat or cheese-based entrees, which is standard on menus across the country. And so it is a challenge, and it always, in any business, takes trial and error. You've done that. You've got a great product now. It's really exciting, and I'm sure the kids will like it. We're very excited about it. So congratulations. And hopefully with this summit, there's a lot of people here watching who will say, wow, we need to get that into our school. And so this is great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Safiya, I'm curious with you, because you worked in food for quite a while, and you had your own company before that was making desserts, if I'm not mistaken.
Vegan, kosher, organic, vegan ice cream. Well, it's called frozen dessert. You're not allowed to call it ice cream, but just trying to really bring some fun flavors like ginger, vanilla, and chocolate mint to market. So yeah, I knew since 2008, that's when I started, how there are a lot of challenges, and so also a lot of fun to be able to get, have people say, wow, this is really good, even when it's not very, Now,
you're working with Eleni's.
Yes.
Right? And much like the same question with Mike, so in terms of your solutions to this taste, because I think that's, as we all agree, that taste is a big deal with it, for it to succeed within the school system, and kids can be pretty picky.
Yes.
I don't know about you. I have 5 kids and a grandson. So my grandson, he's pretty picky too. So
I'm very familiar with cookies.
What kind of products are you developing as well?
So with Eleni's, I was really happy to be able to join the team and help to create this line with them, because before I was with Eleni's, I was consulting with a company up in the Boston area called City Fresh Foods, and they also were one of the early pioneers making from scratch, wholesome, ethnically diverse foods for like child care centers and senior centers, being delivered right to them. And so I got to work with them to develop. They were hired by Steward, a healthcare, to develop a vegan, plant-based 2-week cycle menu to be delivered to people who had just gotten out of the hospital to reduce readmittance. And it was so exciting because we had a big challenge. I mean, these were seniors who were very set in their ways. Talk about picky eaters. They, and this is plant-based and really strange foods, but I tried to design things that would be very comfort food type, similar to what people were used to eating. And they liked it. And they really, actually, the best part of it was we were able to reduce readmittance by 60% using plant-based. It was really exciting. Similarly, with Lenny's, what we've done was I used my knowledge of being a mom and knowing picky eaters and knowing how kids in schools are, what we're competing with, to create some really fun things. Like we're doing a vegan melted cheese sauce that looks like the processed yellow cheese melt, but it comes melted. So the back of the house, they don't have to deal with shreds or preparing. All of our products are already made. They're warm and go. So it makes it super easy because everybody, that's the challenge. Aside from offering things that people and kids love, we have to make it easy for people to do the actual execution of this in the back. So we're also doing Euro meat that's all vegan. It comes in either a slice or a crumble. It comes pre-seasoned and pre-cooked, and everything it tastes and looks like, like their favorite gyros that they can get from regular pizza places. We're also doing a sausage that comes also in a slice or a crumble. We're adding the 28 grams of protein in our 4-ounce serving, which is really great, and 0 cholesterol. So that all these components, and we're doing a vegan scrambled egg that's already scrambled. So from that scrambled egg, the chefs or the food service people can make a breakfast wrap, a warm breakfast wrap with our cheese, our melty, gooey cheese, or nachos. They can use the eggs to make egg salad with a vegan mayonnaise. Just a lot of creativity, but ease for them. And the kids love it because it looks and tastes like what they're used to. We can throw our vegan sausage onto a pizza using our melted cheese. So we're getting to replace all the kids' favorites with some alternative products that are non-GMO project verified, that are all vegan, that look and taste like eggs, cheese, and meat, but there is no egg, cheese, and meat. So a very high in protein, and it's all plant-based and without the cholesterol, and just making it so that when we offer pizza, or the food service team can offer pizza with our vegan melted cheese and our vegan sausage crumble, it tastes just like what the kids are used to, like the same mouthfeel and look. It's so much easier for them to like it.
Both of you had mentioned this piece, now again, tasting good, but also kids recognizing it, because it's easier for them to, and it's really adults or kids, it's easier for people to buy something they already know. Absolutely. Right, as opposed to teaching them a new dish. Now, we're all about exploration, and with Antonia in our other interviews, I know she's going to be talking about this, because that's what we do in terms of getting kids excited. We want to introduce them to new things. But like you said, when schools are rolling out new types of meals, especially introducing something, you're transitioning, right? And adding to their menus, especially a plant-based option, it's good that it's something that they instantly recognize. We
put our melted vegan cheese on fries, even though, it would be nice if they were baked fries instead of fried fries. Even still, it's a nice alternative. The kids that don't eat meat or eggs or cheese want to be able to belong and look like they're eating what everybody else is eating. And then they want to also get kids that have never had a chance to try these things to see that they taste good and they're fun to eat and they look like the other foods on the menu. So it's really great.
Of course, as people who know something about plant-based nutrition, we know that we really don't need to worry about protein. However, the school meal standards do require a certain amount of protein. So in relation to the standards for the schools, there has to be a certain amount of protein. It's not as simple as a certain number of grams. It depends what the food is. It might be half a cup of beans. It might be 4.4 ounces of tofu. It might be a certain number of grams of protein. It really depends. There is something called the child nutrition labels. So if it's not a clear measurement of beans or a clear measurement of ounces of tofu, then companies get this CN label, which stands for Child Nutrition Label, and then the USDA determines exactly how much is needed to count as the serving of the component of the meal called the meat alternate. So I know Safiya is talking about protein because these do have to have a certain amount, but I also want to emphasize that just for people learning about plant-based nutrition here, actually protein is not a nutrient of concern according to the USDA, and a lot of companies market protein like as if we're deficient, and actually most people are getting 2 or 3 times more than they need, so that is important to know. But in relation to the school meals, there has to be a certain amount.
What's the biggest challenge you'd say you've had or pushback, should we say, from a school about implementing or introducing your product into their system?
I don't know if I think a lot of schools are open to it. I really think, if we just deliver a good tasting product, I think the schools are open. I think there's more vegetarian, when you talk to food service directors or, the staff at schools, they'll tell you that years ago they never had any calling for vegetarians, people that have been in the schools for many years. And in the last 10 years, I don't know what the number is, but in the last, say, 10 years, there's been a demand, not by a lot of students, but by enough students where they're looking now for the first time and searching now for the first time. So I think they're open-minded. I think the schools are open-minded to satisfy those few students. Obviously our goal is to, bring it to more than the few that are looking from an economic point of view. And also, one of the issues is the distribution, that they have is that, so for example, if you're selling a school and you need to ship a certain amount of quantity to make it realistic for them, there is a way to get in. There's a company called Dot Foods, which everybody knows about. It's a national redistributor. And, we're talking to them now. And so basically, if you get into Dot Foods, what happens is a school, if they only wanted 5 cases or 10 cases, they can then get it. Whereas if you're not in Dot Foods and the school says, okay, I'm willing to try your product, and we're in New York, or the factory's in Connecticut, and they're in Texas, to transport the product, it's not economically feasible. So anyway, that's a key to the business, is to be in Dot Foods.
We are working with Dot now, and it really does help to be able to offer, because schools, if they want to try our plant-based options, and they know that they can start out small by just ordering, because any distributor works through Dot. So if they say, oh, but we only work through this company, we say it's okay, you can just pull it through Dot, and but it is really, like, I'm hearing more and more, like I'm sure Mike is, that people are requesting vegan options. Their kids are asking for it, the parents are asking for it, and plus all the research is showing that it's really wonderful to have that, including plant-based in the children's diet every day. So, I think 10 years ago it was really different. Now it's not only just a demand, but it's like a lifestyle change. And we're really working very hard to make this so it works easily. They have to know that it tastes and looks good. When they see it for themselves, like they try the foods, the components, and they're like really surprised that it actually tastes great. And then they try it out on a kid. Like they'll pull a kid in and say, hey, what do you think of this? And they say, it's really good. It just tastes like eggs, or it tastes like cheese. They don't know that it's alternative meat or, whatever. But we're using the ancient traditional proteins. We're using tofu and seitan as our base on our products, which is really, I think, kind of nice to be able to, rely on 1,000-year-old proteins that are proven to give the health and nutrition that we're looking for in food service. So, vegan is becoming part of our everyday world. Everybody's hearing the word, and it used to have such a bad rap about what it would taste like. But when, top chefs and different food shows that we've been to have tried it, they cannot believe it's not really meat, or it's not really egg, or it's not really melted cheese, We're also doing a vegan creamy-based Greek-style yogurt-type tzatziki to go with our gyro and shawarma. And that also has been really surprising to everybody, that it can taste like creamy, dairy when there's no dairy. So, and I'm sure you're getting that too with what you're doing, with the falafel and the burgers and things that you're doing out of beans.
I really want to emphasize for our viewers, you might be hearing the word vegan a lot or plant-based a lot. And yes, this is our focus, is the plant-based main dish items in schools. But it is not just for kids who eat that way at home. Really, the point here is that these plant-based vegan options are healthy for everyone. And this is it's not only one of the hottest food trends there is, and we're seeing a lot of food service directors asking for this, not just for the vegan kids, but also for the benefit of all children, because all children are eating far too many animal products. I mean, we know really the optimal amount of animal products in the diet is basically 0. So everybody's looking for these plant-based options, and your companies are offering them. And I know there's going to be more and more companies doing this, because this is something everyone's looking for. And it's very exciting that you're both such pioneers. I know when we talked about Safiya, how long you've been in the business, and Mike has also been in the food business a long time. Yes, the transition to being a plant-based business is more recent, but he's been in the food business a long time too. And so it's really exciting to see this movement. But you're both, we really consider you both to be pioneers in it. And I think your businesses are going to grow exponentially. And that is very exciting, because it'll benefit the kids, it'll benefit the planet, and it will benefit the animals too. So that's really important.
And we see the growth of the market really not just taking off, but really launching pretty far. I mean, if you take a look at the UK, last year alone, vegan products, the demand for that went up 1,500%. 1,500%, which is absolutely amazing. Within the U.S., we know that even though the 7% of the population considers themselves veg, whether it's vegetarian or vegan, that the consumer market, 29% of Americans, on top of the 7%, are buying vegan products and services. So it's really amazing at how fast this market is growing, and really the demand. So it's not a matter of whether a school gets these questions or requests for veg-friendly products, but we know that they're getting them, and they're only going to be increasing. And I think it's going to be increasing faster than even school officials may realize.
And also for the staff, we want to encourage teachers and educators to bring up, conversations and topics in the classroom about eating plant-based and about the environment and the connection with health and food and, and our planet. And I think that's happening more and more. So that's why, like you're saying, that kids that aren't eating this way at home are actually telling their parents about it and trying to get their parents to try it. I know when I've worked in city schools and come in and done cooking with the kids, they're like, we want to do this at home. I know how to do this now, and I think that's really exciting that the children are really exposed to something they didn't get to have at home, and then they're bringing it home.
we will have many other participants in the summit talking about the importance of education in the classroom, and that ties in with offering these foods in the cafeteria.
Before we sign off here, I want to make sure everyone can get more information. So, Mike, go ahead and tell us what your website is. Where can people get more information?
It's www.americanbean.com.
And Safiya, what about your website?
We are Elenis, spelled E-L-E-N-I-S, Sam, ModMed, that's MODMED.com. So it stands for Elenis Modern Mediterranean.
Excellent. So we highly encourage you to visit those websites to learn more about the type of products you can really share within the school to people appropriate so they know there are options out there. And if you want to learn more about the mission of our Healthy School Food, you go to healthyschoolfood.org, again, healthyschoolfood.org, and you can visit PlantPureNation.com for more information about PlantPure and the plant-based movement and the support of that movement. Again, thank you all very much for being part of the summit.
Thank you.